The number one question I get every single day is this. If XRP is truly the chosen currency for the new financial order, then why in the world is the price still sitting at $2? Why is it that while Bitcoin is flirting with 100,000, XRP looks like it's stuck in slow motion? And more importantly, if it's meant for central banks, why are you even allowed to buy it? Today, I'm going to answer these questions from a perspective you won't find on a public exchange or a hype-driven Twitter thread, because what you see on the surface is a distraction, and what's happening in the shadows is a coordinated institutional takeover. While retail investors are complaining about the daily candles, central banks and liquidity providers are signing NDAs and securing their supply through OTC deals that never touch the public order books. We are going to do a deep dive into the brutal mathematics of why an XRP at $10,000 or even $50,000 isn't a fantasy, it's a design requirement. We are going to look at why Bitcoin, despite its price, has zero intrinsic value compared to the infrastructure Ripple is building. Welcome back to the Black Swan Capitalist. Today we pull back the curtain on the institutional game of 2026. Let's jump in. Let's start with the hard truth. 95% of people on social media are staring at a screen that doesn't show the real game. If you're wondering why XRP is still sitting at $2 while the world's financial plumbing is being replaced, you need to understand the concept of shadow liquidity. You see, retail investors live and die by public exchanges, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken. But financial institutions, they play in the shadows. They operate through OTC, over-the-counter desks, where multi-billion-dollar deals are done directly between two parties without ever touching an exchange's order book. This is why the price on your phone isn't moving, despite the massive accumulation. If the Bank of France or the Bank of Japan decided to buy 5 billion XRP today, do you really think they'd go to a centralized exchange and hit the buy button? Of course not. They'd crash the market before they filled 1% of their order. Instead, they use the XRP escrow for strategic OTC deals. They have signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements with Ripple, that ensure they have access to vast amounts of liquidity at a fixed controlled price to prevent volatility during the onboarding phase. While you're complaining about a quiet chart, these central banks are securing the lifeblood of their future digital economies behind closed doors. You have to realize that in 2026, price is not value, and value is not price. Look at Bitcoin. It's trading near $100,000. Yet it has zero intrinsic utility. Its value is purely social belief, artificially inflated by stable coins like Tether that are printed out of thin air. Essentially, a rebranded version of the very fiat currencies that are being devalued as we speak. XRP is different. It wasn't designed for speculation. It was engineered for necessity. Its price won't move because of a tweet or a headline from Donald Trump. It will move when global liquidity demands it. We are talking about a utility-driven market where the quietness of the chart is actually the silence of a predator waiting to strike. If you don't have the patience to see through the institutional veil, then this isn't the asset for you. But if you understand that the chosen currency must first be locked away in central bank vaults before the public explosion happens, then you're exactly where you need to be. Now let's talk about the impossible number. How does a token sitting at $2 today reach $10,000, $50,000, or even higher? Most retail investors look at this through the lens of a stock price, but XRP isn't a stock. It's a monetary instrument. And in the world of 2026, the value is determined by mathematics, not hype. The secret lies in fractionalization. One single XRP can be split into 1 million units called drops. Think about the implications of that architecture. If XRP hits $10,000 per token, one single drop is worth exactly 1 cent. This means at $10,000, XRP actually becomes more usable, not less. You could pay for a cup of coffee with a fraction of a drop, while simultaneously, a central bank could move $1 billion across the ocean using only a handful of tokens. This is what David Schwartz has been telling us for years. a higher-priced XRP is a better vehicle for payments. Why? Because of liquidity efficiency. Let's do the math. If you want to move 1 billion and XRP is priced at $1, you need 1 billion tokens. That creates massive pressure, slippage, and volatility. But at $10,000 per XRP, that same billion-dollar transfer only requires 100,000 tokens. See the difference? Higher price means lower slippage. You move fewer tokens so you don't disturb the market. Lower volatility. The system becomes a stable bridge rather than a speculative roller coaster. Institutional finality. Banks can settle massive debts instantly without needing to hoard the entire circulating supply. Bitcoin reached $100,000 without any intrinsic utility. It got there on pure speculation and social belief. But XRP is engineered for a different game. Its price is a functional requirement. For XRP to bridge the 1.22 quadrillion derivatives market and the 150 trillion cross-border payment flows, it has to be expensive. If the price stays low, the pipe is too small for the ocean of global capital to flow through. To swallow the global financial system, the price of the bridge must reflect the value of the cargo. This isn't a guess. It's not a moonboy fantasy. It is the logical mathematical outcome of the architecture created by Ripple. If you have a problem with these numbers, you don't have a problem with me. You have a problem with the laws of physics and finance. Now, let's look at the collision course between finite supply and infinite necessity. There will only ever be 100 billion XRP. You can't print more. You can't bail it out. And you can't inflate it away like the fiat currencies being destroyed by central banks right now. But let's stack that 100 billion against the scale of global finance. The foreign exchange market alone moves $7.5 trillion every single day. The derivatives market is estimated at over $1.2 quadrillion, and cross-border payments are surging past $150 trillion annually. Here's the math that the retail crowd ignores. Even if XRP only captures 1% of those transactions, we're talking about trillions of dollars trying to squeeze through a tiny pipe. If only 25 billion XRP are effectively circulating for these settlements while the rest is locked in escrow or held by institutions, then each XRP must represent a massive amount of value. We're talking about each token bridging $60,000 to $100,000 in value just to keep the lights on. This is why XRP is designed to become a global reserve currency. By definition, a reserve currency must be held in massive quantities by central banks and financial authorities to ensure liquidity. Replacing the Nostro Vostastro system where trillions of dollars sit idle in foreign bank accounts requires every single central bank on the planet to hold a vault of XRP. And let's be clear, banks don't think like you. They don't care about buying low and selling high. They care about velocity. How fast can value move? When XRP reaches its full utility, it stops being a cryptocurrency and becomes a monetary instrument. At that stage, it gets knocked out of the retail market because the price becomes too high for the average person to buy even a whole token. The Clarity Act of 2026 is the final green light. It's the moment the law catches up to the math. When the regulatory gates open, the demand won't be driven by hype or Donald Trump tweets. It will be driven by the systemic requirement to move the world's wealth. XRP reaching $10,000 or $50,000 isn't a prediction. It's a requirement. The system they created, the architecture David Schwartz and the founders built, literally cannot function at scale if the price is low. You are holding the only asset in history that is mathematically programmed to be expensive. What most retail traders fail to see is that Ripple hasn't just been building a token. They've been assembling an institutional Wall Street kit. In late 2025 and early 2026, the pieces finally clicked into place through the $1 billion acquisition of G Treasury and the $1.2525 billion hidden road deal. Ripple has built a prime brokerage and custody stack that handles the plumbing for billions in capital. Institutions aren't speculating on price. They are integrating XRP into their daily treasury management. When you have platforms managing $12.5 trillion in corporate volume using XRP-backed liquidity, the $2 price you see on Binance becomes irrelevant. This is where the Clarity Act of early 2026 changes everything. It finalizes the shift of XRP from a crypto asset to a monetary instrument. Once the legal green light is fully lit, the shadow liquidity will move into the light. The NDAs will expire, and the market will realize that the circulating supply has already been spoken for by governments and central banks. XRP hitting $10,000 or beyond isn't a Moonboy's dream. It is the math of the system. As Versan Aljara correctly pointed out, XRP was never designed to be cheap. If it stays cheap, it cannot be a bridge. For it to function, it must be expensive. So here is the final verdict for January 2026. Price is a distraction. Value is the reality. If you're still complaining that XRP is at $2 while Bitcoin is at $100,000, you are thinking in the old world. Bitcoin's price is built on social belief and stablecoin inflation. XRP's price is built on mathematical necessity and global liquidity. One is a bubble, the other is a bridge. The world's wealth is being digitized, and XRP is the technology that will move it. When the final switch is flipped and the Nostrovostral accounts are replaced, the retail market will be knocked out. You won't be able to buy whole tokens anymore. You'll be trading in drops. I want to know who the real ones are. If you've made it to the end of this deep dive, comment math over height below. I want to see who actually understands the architectural destiny of this asset. I'm the calm analyst, the math doesn't lie, and the system is almost complete.